All right, let's dive straight into a type of agreement that you've probably entered into without even giving it a second thought: the contingent contract. Simply put, it's a promise that only springs to life if a certain thing happens. So we're going to crack the code on exactly what that means. So what is it, officially? Well, Section 31 of the law defines it as a contract to do or not do something if some event does or does not happen. Think of it this way. The contract is basically dormant, just waiting for a specific trigger. That trigger is some uncertain future event that will either wake the contract up and make it active or put it to sleep forever. This example makes that abstract legal talk crystal clear. This is basically an insurance policy, right? A doesn't just owe B 10,000 rupees. The obligation to pay is completely contingent on an uncertain event. In this case, the house burning down. If there's no fire, there's no payment. It really is that simple. Okay, to really get a handle on how these things work in the real world, we're going to climb what I'm calling our legal ladder. We've just covered the core definition. Next up, we'll see what happens when the event actually occurs, and then what happens when it doesn't. After that, we'll look at how deadlines change everything, what happens if the event is impossible from the start, and we'll wrap it all up with a really handy checklist. So let's start with the most obvious scenario. What happens when the if part of the equation actually comes true? Well, this is the moment the contract finally wakes up and gets to work. And here's the crucial rule from Section 32. The contract is basically in legal limbo. You can't sue on it, you can't enforce it, unless and until that specific thing has happened. And there's a built-in kill switch. If that event becomes impossible for any reason, the contract becomes void. It's like it never even existed. These examples really spell it out. Look at that first one. The deal to buy the horse only happens if A outlives C, so it can only be enforced the moment C passes away. The second one is triggered by a no. The deal activates only after C says no thanks to buying the horse. And the third one, the promise to pay, is tied to a marriage. If C dies before the wedding, well, that event is now impossible, so the contract is totally void. Okay, so that's when the event happens. But what if the contract is based on something not happening? This kind of flips the logic on its head, so let's dig into how that works. Now, this might sound a little confusing at first, but it makes perfect sense. You can only enforce this kind of contract when you are 100% certain the event can never happen. The law needs absolute certainty. You can't just enforce a promise because it probably won't happen. You have to wait until it becomes it definitely can't happen. And this example makes it perfectly clear. As long as that ship is still out there sailing, there's always a chance it could come back, right? But the moment that ship sinks to the bottom of the ocean, boom, we have certainty. It has become impossible for it to return. At that precise moment, the condition has been met and the contract comes to life. B can now go and collect the money from A. Let's add another layer of complexity here, a deadline. Because a lot of the time, these agreements are all about timing, and the law has very specific rules for that. This slide breaks it down beautifully. So look at the left side. If the event must happen within a certain time, the contract lives and dies by that clock. If the year runs out before it happens, the contract is void. Or if the event becomes impossible during that year, it's also void. Now look at the right. This is the opposite. The contract becomes enforceable if the clock runs out and the thing hasn't happened. Or it can become enforceable even earlier the moment it becomes certain the event can't happen. Let's use our ship example again to hammer this home. In the first case, the promise is based on the ship returning within 1 year. If that ship burns and sinks 6 months in, its return is now impossible. The contract dies right there, it's void. But in the second case, the promise is that the ship will not return within the year. If it burns and sinks 6 months in, we now know for a fact it can't return, so the contract immediately becomes enforceable. See the difference? It's all about when you hit that point of certainty. So far, we have seen how time can make an event impossible. But what if the event was impossible from the very beginning? Or what if someone's own actions make it impossible? Let's take a look at those situations. So here's a classic setup from Section 34. The entire contract's existence hangs on the future actions of a person, specifically on B marrying C. Seems simple enough? So let's play this out. The deal depends on B and C tying the knot. But C is a person with free will. What happens if C does something that completely torpedoes the plan? And here's the legal answer. The second C marries somebody else, the law considers the marriage between B and C to be impossible. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, hey, D could pass away, and then C would be free to marry B. The law actually anticipates that, but says, for the purposes of the contract, the event is considered impossible right now, so the contract is void. This all leads to an even bigger rule. Any agreement that's based on an event that is fundamentally impossible is void right from the start. And here's the kicker. This is true whether the people who made the deal knew it was impossible or not. The simple fact that it can't happen is what matters. And this is just the perfect example, isn't it? A contract based on two straight lines enclosing a space is void. Why? Because it's a geometric impossibility. It's a promise based on something that could never, ever happen in our universe. Okay, we have climbed our legal ladder and we've made it to the top. So let's bring everything we've learned together into a simple, practical checklist you can use to spot and understand these contracts out in the wild. Here it is. First, always look for the if. What's the uncertain condition? Second, figure out the trigger. Is the contract enforced when the event happens or when it fails because it's become impossible? Third, check for a clock. Is there a deadline that could kill the deal? And finally, ask yourself about the impossibility clause. Is the event itself impossible? Because if it is, or if it becomes impossible, that contract is very likely void. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Think about your insurance policies, maybe a job offer that was conditional on a background check, or even a bet you made with a friend. Now that you can spot the if, the trigger, and the potential kill switches, just how many of these contingent contracts are shaping your own life at this very moment?